What's going on, guys? I just pulled in the Isuzu. We're installing 2-inch drop spindles on this truck today. It's freezing cold outside and it's been lightly snowing, but that's not gonna stop us. We're gonna get this done today. Super dirty. I tried clearing off as much snow as I could. If you guys didn't know, this is my daily driver, so I kind of have to finish this tonight. If I don't finish it tonight, then I don't know. I might have to drive Suki, but that doesn't have a heater and I'd much rather drive this because it's freezing outside. But right now it's all stock up front. All I did was I re-indexed the torsion bars a while back so that they wouldn't hang so low down, like the ears on them at the back for the long bolts. Re-indexed them so they wouldn't hang so far down. All I did was lowered it just a tiny bit, as you guys can see. These are the stock wheels, but they have studded snow tires on them, which I'll be changing those out too for the summer setup, which is on Suki right now because I needed some rollers for it while I went to get my new tires, which you'll see me install in a different video. But these are the new tires I got for it. They're Shibata or Shiba tires, all the way from Japan. It's a Japanese company. I got some help from somebody importing these. It was not very cheap to import them, but they look pretty awesome. They got this cool lightning bolt like tread on them, and there's not really a ton of companies that make the tire size that I want, which is a 195/45 15. So we'll get those Titan wheels, those 18s that are on Suki right now. Those are for this. We'll get those on at some point, but right now I just want to get this in the air and get the drop spindles in, which I'll show you. And these are not light. These are pretty heavy. If you guys don't know like how drop spindles work, it's essentially the same type of spindle as the stock spindle. This piece right here is basically moved up 2 inches. It helps with the ride, so it doesn't bang up front or whatever as much, or it's not so choppy, which this one does. When I hit bumps and stuff, it's not even crazy low and it still bangs up front, so hopefully this will help with that. But yeah, let's get this thing in the air and start taking the wheels off the front, and we'll go from there. All right, the truck is officially in the air. Now I can take Big Bertha here and start taking off the front wheels. Lining that up, it's about 2 inches higher than right here. So that's how that works. So we just got to swap out this whole spindle and then we should be good to go. All right, I'm using a 22 socket. Get this caliper off. The caliper bolts to the spindle, so I got to get that off. I got the center nut out off the old spindle. I should be able to pull the whole hub assembly off, just like that. And that leaves us with this. We have the shield for the brake rotor, which I can take off. Looks like a 12mm. Okay, here comes the shield with the 3 little bolts. I forgot to do this before, but I'm gonna spray a bit of PB Blaster, all the main nuts right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and go to the other side and let that start soaking while I finish this side. What I just did is I went through and I got all 3 of the cotter pins out, which each of these points has one. So that one does, and this one up here. I went through and I got all 3 of them out. So now I can take Big Bertha with the 22mm, which that's what these 2 nuts are, 22s. I can undo those, and then hopefully I can pop this piece off, this top part, and it'll help me get better access to that bottom one, which looks like it could be a 27. All right, and I don't know if you guys just saw that, but a lot of times people use a pickle fork when they don't really need to sometimes. This is how it was before. Let's say I take the nut off the top and you think it'd just fall right out, but it won't. And so instead of taking a pickle fork and ruining the seal, you take the nut, put it back on top, and don't hit the nut. The nut's just there to, if you accidentally hit up here, it protects the threads. But you take your hammer, and where you can see I hit right there, just hit it a bunch until it drops down just like it just did. So it drops down like that and you're good to go. Screw the nut back on so I don't lose it. I'm not quite gonna be able to get Bertha in there, so I'm gonna have to get 1/2 inch wrench and see if I can get it with the 22. just hammered the top part as well. Once again, no need for a pickle fork. I just hit right here and then it just popped right out. Now we have one more thing to do, which is to get this bottom one off. Cool trick I'm gonna try. It's on there pretty tight. I maybe should have loosened it first, but I'm gonna put the 27 socket on, slide an extension through, put berth on top, and it should be able to get it loose. It's off. And just like that, the old spindle is completely out. As you guys just saw, I got the spindle completely out. It's all free, everything is free right now. I probably should have honestly replaced the ball joints. I guess I'm just not going to right now. It's not very hard to replace them, so right now this will be fine, and I need to get this done today. But let me just show you guys a quick comparison. So only downfall is the weight, but that's okay. They might have to be a little stronger anyway, considering it's like a modified spindle being raised up a little bit. But this is for this side. If you notice, the spindle is definitely a lot different. And actually, what I think I'm gonna do is mask off the spindle part right here with some tape, and I'm gonna go and rattle can them really quick with the rust inhibitor and then some black Rust-Oleum, just because it's just straight up cast right now, and just from sitting in the box it has like the surface rust on it. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and while I'm letting that paint dry, I'll start undoing the other side, which exact same thing as the right side, just the opposite. So all right guys, I got the spindles painted here. They look pretty good. I wish I would have ordered ball joints because they were a little worse than I thought. I just ordered them like 5 minutes ago. So I guess we'll have to wait for a nicer day and then I can install the ball joints. Reason I want to wait for a nicer day is because then I can pop off all this stuff and then degrease and pressure wash all this. Kind of throw some new paint on a bunch of parts in here, so it'll look a lot better. Top ball joint and bottom ball joint are both connected, but now we can do this tie rod end right here. Hopefully when I'm done with this and lower that to the ground, I don't have any weird toe issues. All right, so this dust shield didn't quite fit. These two bottom holes right here lined up perfectly, that one and that one. And then the top hole didn't quite line up perfectly, so I went in and took it to the drill press and extended the hole so that it would line up. Hopefully that works. Now it should work perfectly. And now the next step will be adding grease to the spindle, and then I can slide the hub with the rotor back on the spindle. Okay, I got this wheel bearing grease. Got the spindle greased. I can slide the hub on. Just like that. I can pack that more with grease, and then I'll be able to install the outside bearing and the nut with the new cotter pin. Well guys, the front hub is on. Now I can take the 2 bolts for the caliper and cut the zip tie. I got it hanging from a zip tie here so that it wouldn't put any stress on the brake line. Just hung it from the torsion bar there. Now I can bolt it on the back, and we should be good to go on this side. Well guys, unfortunately, I was just trying to put the caliper on and I was struggling and realized these new spindles don't allow for the dust shield for the brake rotors. So basically the backs of the calipers hit here and here, not allowing for the holes to line up on the new spindle for the caliper. So if I were to use these, I'd have to cut in here a little bit more, but I just took them out. I'm gonna keep them anyway, but here it is. It's all back together on this side. And I can now put the wheel on and do the other side. We should be good to drop it down to the ground after that and see where we're sitting. Well guys, both spindles are on. Passenger and driver side spindles are both on. Everything went pretty smooth. Really the only issue I had was those dust shields over here, but that's really not a big deal to me. I'm gonna keep them just in case I want to put them back in. Everything seems to be pretty good. I won't know for sure if it's gonna have some weird toe issue or line, like any toe or anything, until I drop it to the ground. I didn't put the front wheels back on yet. I'm gonna pull in Suki, jack it up, and put on the Summers for this because I think it's about time. It's been cold and kind of snowing, but not like heavy snowing, so I shouldn't need these anymore. Knock on wood. This is about how much snow we've gotten. It's just been like lightly snowing. It's really cold out though, but I will put these back on. I'll put my wagon wheels back on with the new tires, but I won't drive it around yet until I fix my cab and bed alignment issue. If you notice here, I got like a rubbing problem, and it's not like that on the other side. And so I went and I was measuring like underneath, and apparently my cab, both my cab and box are a little bit too far to the passenger side by like a little bit less than an inch. So at some point, maybe this week, maybe this weekend, I don't know, I'll put this on the lift, loosen all the box bolts and the cab bolts, and I'll try and move it over just a tiny bit and do a lot of measuring, make sure I get everything perfect. I shouldn't have any issues just because I don't have to move it that much, but yeah, I just don't want to burn into my brand new tires, mess them up. I kept my old tires, burn mark on them. Here was the rear. You might be able to see it's got a groove here. This is the rear on the driver's side. This was when it was lowered a little bit more, was cutting into it, but the passenger side wasn't. And here is the front one. As you can see, it's all shiny. Looks like it was polished. That's because of the front fender was rubbing. The Isuzu wheels are off of Suki. Now I can put them on. We got fronts and rears. These are the rears. Reason being is front hubs on the Isuzu or like hard bodies won't fit Titan wheels, so you got to router them out a little bit. I know some of you might think it's sketchy, but it's worked perfectly for years. All right, so all four wheels are back on. They look pretty good. I have not lowered it down yet, but we're about to. And from here, after adding 2-inch drop spindles, I did raise the torsion bars up a little bit before I put it down. So we'll see. When I put it down on the ground, I'll push down on the front end and see if it kind of settles, and wherever it's at, I guess we'll go from there. Well, it's stuck on the lift, so gonna have to take it off same way I put it on. Well guys, I think I might have just got it first try. I was pushing on the front end, up and down, seeing if I could get it kind of settled. It's about 2.5, the wheel gap from the lip of the rim to the fender, 2.5 inch on both sides. So I think it's perfect. I guess I'm gonna go take it out for a test drive and see if I can feel any difference, any like smoother of a ride or anything like that. All right guys, so I may have been wrong about 2.5 inches of a gap being perfect. So raising the torsion bars and putting 2-inch drop spindles got rid of camber. Like it has slightly some camber and now it really doesn't. So it's, I mean, the banging is gone, which is great. That was the whole point. But it's rubbing on the plastic inner fender wells a little bit. So I'm gonna have to raise it up just a tiny bit more. But it's just as simple as jacking up the front end. I can do it on the ground too. And there's a 22 for the torsion key bolts, and then I just got to tighten them up evenly, and then that should raise it up. But I'll pull over in a parking lot so you guys can see what it looks like. It might have even settled even more after just driving it for a minute, so that could be part of my issue too. But after that, I am good to go and get in alignment. I mean, it looks really, really good. Sorry if it's windy. It's not the greatest weather out right now, but yeah, I think it did settle a little bit more too. Definitely did. Yep, there's not really any camber up front anymore like there was before. It's like when you have a vehicle with torsion bars and you lower it, a lot of times it'll like camber by itself, like start to camber. But after putting the 2-inch drop spindles in and raising up the torsion bars, it's not really cambered anymore. So it's just rubbing. I already looked down here, it's rubbing just right here on the inner fender well, not the main fender, but just like the plastic inserts. So let's raise it up a little bit and then we'll be good. Yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I don't like to ask, but subscribe, keeps me going, and feel free to drop a like. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.